I want to tell you about an amazing event I attended last night. And as amazing as it was, I was disappointed. Hi, I'm Sandy from Sandy Over 70. Welcome to my channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and click that little notification button. Now, let me tell you what happened. The Biltmore Estate here in Asheville, North Carolina is the largest private home in America. It was built by George Vanderbilt and it sits on the top of a mountain on 8,000 acres. The house itself has 250 rooms and 175,000 square feet. So people from all over know about it and come here to visit. We are annual pass holders, and because of that, we got invited to a special event that they were having. They do this several times a year. This was a Valentine's dinner dance with live music. Now, it was exorbitantly priced, and every time I get the notice, I say, you have to be kidding, I'm not doing that. But I'll tell you why I did it this time. Well, first of all, it was right near Valentine's Day. But secondly, it fell right on my husband's birthday, and I thought, what a nice way to celebrate his birthday. A wonderful meal in a beautiful place, followed by live music for us to dance. Now, this was not held in the Biltmore house. It was held in one of their many event centers on the estate. This one's called Deer Park, and it's beautifully designed. It's in the shape of a square, and it surrounds an outdoor area, atrium area that they can use in the summer, but it's really designed wonderfully. I'm going to tell you exactly step by step how it worked for this event. To give you a picture of why my expectations were so high, the event cost, you're not going to believe this because I can't hardly believe it, the event cost $199 per person with all of the fees. So I had really high expectations. And when we walked in, I was very excited. The building is one of their original buildings. It's all brick. And it was designated as a semi-formal affair. So basically, people wore what they wanted to. We walked into the entrance hall, gave our name to the person who was at the little reception stand, and then we turned left, and one of the long hallways of this square building was used for the cocktail hour, and that was from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Oops. My earring fell on the floor. Okay, it's back in. So we had 1 hour of cocktails. Now they had 3 different kinds of champagne. I hardly drink, but of course I took some champagne. It was very nice. And there were only maybe at most 5 little tables where you could stand your drink, and otherwise you just had to stand there. And so there were many people, perhaps a couple hundred people in this room. There were no hors d'oeuvres, but there were things that you could put into your champagne, like cherries and stuff like that. So I looked around, and there was one little table that only had 4 people. So we went to stand there, and of course, you start talking to the people, and there were 2 other couples, and it was very nice. You know, everybody chatted until it was time to go into dinner. I always have my camera with me, as you can imagine, so that I can share these events with you. So I took my camera and I started walking around, and I was looking at things and people, and all of a sudden I saw the back of a woman who I know so well. She is the CEO of our retirement community, and she was wearing a dress that I recognized. I came around front, and I looked at her through the camera, and she went, ah! So we chatted a little, but that was really the only people that I knew. I didn't know anyone else there, but that's all right. Fortunately, I'd had some snacks beforehand because I know how these things go, and I get very hungry and I get cranky, so I had some snacks, and I was able to wait until 7 p.m. when they told us we could go into the dining area. So the dining area now is 2 walls of this square, 2 sides of the square. Again, hundreds of people. Now for this event, almost everyone was at a table for 2, unless you requested a table for a larger group. And that makes sense. This was a Valentine's dinner dance. So all the people were lined up at tables for 2, and then there were a few larger tables in the middle. It was decorated very lovely. We walked in there and were escorted to a table for 2 in the middle of one of these hallways, and immediately were offered more wine. Well, I did not drink anything else that evening, but maybe I should have. But I tend to get sleepy, and I just would rather drink water. So I noticed that most of the people were older, but behind me and in front of me were younger couples. And I thought, ooh, this would be the perfect opportunity for someone to propose. It was very romantic. The whole atmosphere was lovely. So we waited for our appetizer. The menu was on the table. This is what it looked like. And I knew that the appetizer would be coming, so I was very excited. But we waited and waited and waited. We waited a long time, at maybe 40 minutes, for that appetizer to arrive. It was strange looking. I've never seen an appetizer like this. Okay, so it was noodles with a raw egg yolk sitting on the top, and it's called an interactive pasta. And I thought, interactive pasta, what does that mean? And I looked around, and the man behind me was taking 2 forks and tossing this egg yolk into the pasta. So I did that, and I thought, ooh, this is going to be really good. And so when I tasted it, it had no taste whatsoever. It was tasteless. I was like, we ate it. Believe me, we ate it. Everyone was so hungry at that point. It's now practically 20 to 8. We're hungry. Everybody ate it. And then we waited. And we waited. And we waited. And I noticed that people were drinking. I mean, what else are you going to do? Because it wasn't like you had a group of friends that you were talking to. Almost everybody was with their partner or spouse, and after a couple hours you run out of things to say. So at 8:15, that was an hour and 15 minutes of waiting at this little table doing nothing. The entree arrived. Okay, it was a huge filet and 2 scallops and garlic mashed potatoes. Everything on there I loved. And it was all very, very good. It was delicious. That I can say. It was very good. And I think because I was so hungry, it tasted even better. So I ate that, and I thought, I'm never going to eat that whole piece of meat. It's gigantic. Oh, yes, I did. I ate that whole thing. And then we had to wait for the dessert. And it was good, but you know, we kept seeing the food go by us, behind us. It was like, oh, okay. So we finally got the dessert. It was some kind of chocolate vanilla mousse, but it had this raspberry stuff on top of it, and then 2 round pieces of chocolate on it. Well, It was delicious. Of course it was delicious, but I couldn't begin to eat all that. It was really big. And they said to us, as soon as you're done with dessert, you can go across the courtyard, not outside, but around, to the other wing, the other side of the square where there's dancing. So I was very excited about that. And I said to my husband, let's go now, we're done eating, so that we can get a good seat. So we went over there, and I was amazed to find they only had 3 tables set up. Each table held about 10 people, and I grabbed 2 seats right away. And the band was playing. I think they were playing a very nice rumba when we walked in, but by the time we actually got to our seat, that was over. And they started playing more lively music. They had urns of coffee and cups on one side, and on the other side, they had more little pastries. Oh, they were delicious. And actually, when we were leaving, they were still there, and we put some in a cup and brought them home. And I ate them the next day. I should not have done that, but they were so good. So anyway, so we sit down at our table, and then as people started coming in, there was no place for them to sit, so they were standing around. And here's my biggest disappointment. The music was geared to a younger crowd. And usually a live band will play a variety of music. You know, they might start out with some ballroom classics, and the older people will dance to that, and then as the evening goes on, it gets livelier and livelier. But that did not happen. They never played anything that we could do our ballroom dancing to. Now, I will say, we danced many dances, many, but we were making do. We were adapting our dancing to current modern music. And I noticed that, you know, since the people couldn't sit down, and many of them were older, and the music was not suitable, they left. And so the young people ended up doing the dancing and standing around. I had one couple, we had our cocktails with them, and the woman came up to me and said, "What did you think?" And I said, well, you know, the appetizer was tasteless, the entree and desserts were good, but this is not our music. We like to dance. And she said they felt the same way. She stayed a few minutes and left. So that part was the disappointing part. Like I said, we stayed till the end of the night. I think there was only one more dance number left. And we stayed and we did dance. But there was something lacking. And, you know, for that amount of money, I should have been ecstatic. And let me just say this, my husband was. He loved every minute of it. He is not a complainer like I am. I review and critique everything, so take that with a grain of salt. He enjoyed himself. It was his birthday, and that's all that matters really in the end. And so in that respect, I'm really glad that we went. But I wanted to share this adventure with you because I know a lot of people out there love the Biltmore Estate. And this event was sold out. It usually sells out. And so I want to say maybe, just maybe, you didn't miss all that much. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.